Lee Minho stepped off his cargo ship and onto the polished floor of the Celestial Convergence Station. He stretched his arms above his head and smiled. The station was beautiful, all gleaming metal and transparent walls that showed the stars beyond. Hundreds of different alien species walked past him, going about their business. Some had scales, some had fur, and some looked like walking crystals. This was his first time at this particular trading post, and he was excited. A tall, insect-like creature approached him. It had 4 arms, large black eyes, and antennae that twitched constantly. The creature wore a uniform with a badge that read, Security Officer Thex. Welcome to Celestial Convergence Station, Thex said, in a clicking voice that the translator in Minho's ear converted to Korean. Before you enter the main station, you must surrender all weapons. This is a strict requirement. No exceptions. Minho nodded cheerfully. Of course. No problem at all. I completely understand. Thex seemed pleased. His antennae straightened up. Excellent. Please place any weapons in this container. He gestured to a large box beside him. Minho began patting his jacket. Let me see what I have here. He reached into his right jacket pocket and pulled out a folding knife. He placed it in the box. Then he reached into his left jacket pocket and pulled out another knife, slightly larger. That went into the box too. Thex nodded. Is that everything? Oh no, just getting started, Minho said brightly. He reached into an inside pocket and pulled out a multi-tool. Then another inside pocket produced a small cutting tool. Then a pocket near his waist had a tactical pen. Then a pocket on his sleeve contained a ceramic blade. Thex's antennae began to droop slightly. How many pockets do you have? 51, Minho answered proudly. I had this jacket specially made. Very useful for carrying things. Behind Thex, several other aliens waiting in line began to murmur. A slug-like creature with purple skin moved forward to watch. A reptilian being with golden scales tilted its head in confusion. Minho continued emptying pockets. Pocket number 7 had a wire saw. Pocket 8 contained ball bearings in a small pouch. Pocket 9 had a mini flashlight that Thex initially approved until Minho mentioned it could be used to disorient attackers. Pocket 10 held a length of strong cord. Pocket 11 contained small batteries. Why do you need all these items? Thex asked. His voice strained. Well, you never know what might happen, Minho explained as he moved to Pocket 12. This one has a signal mirror. It is for emergencies, but I suppose you could use it to blind someone temporarily if needed. Thex made a noise that the translator could not interpret but sounded like distress. Pocket 13 had compressed air canisters. 14 had a small aerosol can of machine lubricant. 15 contained magnets of various sizes. 16 had a cigarette lighter, even though Minho did not smoke. For starting fires in survival situations, he explained. The line behind them had grown. More aliens gathered to watch this strange process. Some looked horrified. Some looked fascinated. A large warrior-type alien with thick armor plating and 4 eyes laughed and said something to his companion. By Pocket 20, Thex had called for backup. Another security officer arrived, this one resembling a floating jellyfish with tentacles. Together they documented each item as Minho produced it. Pocket 25 contained duct tape. This is just tape, Minho said. But I suppose you can use it to restrain someone, or make traps, or, please just place it in the box, Thex interrupted. The pockets on his pants were next. These contained more practical items, Minho insisted. Chemical hand warmers. A small container of industrial adhesive. Wire of different gauges. Plastic bags. Rubber bands. A sewing kit with very sharp needles. A compass. Water purification tablets that Thex became very concerned about after learning they were concentrated chemicals. His belt had hidden compartments. His boots had special soles that came apart to reveal storage spaces. One contained a ceramic tool that could cut through restraints. Another had a small amount of magnesium for starting fires. 3 hours had passed. The security checkpoint was cluttered with items. Other security officers had closed adjacent lanes and redirected traffic. A crowd of at least 40 aliens watched from a safe distance. Thex looked at the pile of confiscated items. His antennae drooped completely flat against his head. "Is that everything now?" Minho brightened. "From my pockets." "Yes. All 51 are empty now." He turned them all inside out to demonstrate. Thex's whole body seemed to sag with relief. "Finally. You may proceed to— Should I empty my backpack now?" Minho asked, swinging a large pack off his shoulders. Thex made that untranslatable distressed noise again, but louder this time. The warrior alien in the crowd laughed harder. The purple slug-like creature fainted and had to be carried away by medical staff. A crystalline being's surface began flashing colors that other aliens seemed to recognize as alarm. Minho set his backpack on the inspection table. It was heavy and made a clinking sound. He smiled at Thex apologetically. "I probably should have mentioned this first. But you did ask about weapons. And these are really just tools and supplies. Completely different category in my mind." Thex looked at his supervisor. Another insect-like alien who had just arrived. The supervisor looked at the pile of items. Then at the backpack. Then at Minho's innocent, helpful expression. The supervisor spoke into a communication device. "We need additional staff at Checkpoint 7. And possibly someone from the council. We have a situation." Minho unzipped the main compartment of his backpack and began removing items. The first thing he pulled out was a sealed container of cleaning solvent. Thex immediately held up one of his 4 hands. "Stop. What is that for?" "Cleaning," Minho said simply. "My ship gets dirty. This removes grease and— Can it be weaponized?" Thex interrupted. Minho thought about it. "Well, I suppose if you mixed it with certain other chemicals, you could create a vapor that would be quite unpleasant. Or if you soaked cloth in it and added a flame source, it would burn very hot and be difficult to extinguish. But that is not what I use it for." 1. Thex put the container in a separate box marked with warning symbols. What followed was similar. Minho produced aerosol cans for various purposes. Each one made Thex more nervous after Minho cheerfully explained how they could become flamethrowers with simple modifications. There were batteries of different sizes. Plastic containers that could be pressurized. Strong adhesive that could seal exits or bond objects together. Metal wire that could be made into snares. A small soldering iron for repairs that was also, technically, a heating element that could start fires. The crowd had grown to over 100 aliens now. Some recorded the event on their devices. Others spoke in hushed tones to their companions. A few had brought snacks and settled in to watch. After 2 more hours, a human woman in a station uniform pushed through the crowd. She was young, with tired eyes and professional posture. Her name badge identified her as Park Ji-woo, Human Liaison Officer. "I received a call about a situation," Ji-woo said in Korean. "This human has brought weapons," Thex said, gesturing at the 2 boxes of confiscated items and the half-empty backpack. "Many weapons. Too many weapons." Ji-woo looked at Minho. Then at the boxes. She closed her eyes and took a deep breath. "How many pockets?" 51, Minho answered. "And you explained what each item could do?" he asked. Ji-woo turned to Thex. "Listen. I can vouch for Lee Minho. He is a registered merchant. He has no criminal record. These items are standard for human travelers. He means no harm." "Standard?" A reptilian alien in the crowd spoke up. "You are saying all humans carry this many weapons?" Ji-woo hesitated. "They are not weapons. They are tools that could potentially be used as weapons in emergency situations. And yes, many humans carry similar items. Minho here is actually moderately prepared by our standards." This caused a wave of shocked reactions from the crowd. The reptilian alien's scales changed color. Several small flying creatures scattered in apparent panic. Thex straightened to his full height. I appreciate your input, Liaison Park. But regulations are clear. Every item must be logged and secured. We will continue, Jiwoo sighed. Fine. Minho, can you please just cooperate and try not to explain the destructive potential of everything you own? Minho nodded and continued unpacking. He produced duct tape, which seemed innocent until he mentioned its thousands of uses, including restraining or repairing or creating airtight seals. He pulled out plastic bags, harmless, until he explained how they could be used for suffocation or containment of dangerous substances or improvised flotation devices. A peaceful-looking slug creature in the front of the crowd moved closer to examine a simple spoon that Minho had packed with his eating supplies. This is just a spoon, surely? The slug creature asked hopefully. Minho picked it up. Oh, yes, primarily for eating, but you could also use it as a digging tool, a reflective signal device, a prying tool to open containers, or sharpen the edge to make a cutting implement. If you bent it correctly, it could be a lockpick. The bowl of the spoon could be used to melt substances over a flame. In a fight, you could use it to strike someone in vulnerable areas, like the eyes or throat. If you had multiple spoons, you could wire them together to create a... The slug creature fainted. Medical personnel carried it away on a stretcher. This was the second fainting of the day. Perhaps, Jiwoo suggested gently, you could just place items in the box without commentary? But he asked. Minho repeated. A large warrior alien pushed to the front of the crowd. He had thick gray skin, multiple scars, and carried himself like a soldier. His uniform indicated he was Korthu, a species known throughout the galaxy as fierce fighters. I am Commander Vex, the warrior announced. I have fought in 37 campaigns across 12 systems. I respect your preparedness. Human. Your people understand that safety is not granted. It is maintained. It is maintained. End quote. Thank you, Minho said, bowing slightly. However, Vex continued. Even I do not carry 51 pockets of equipment. Do you travel in a military vessel with full support? Minho asked. Yes. I travel in a small merchant ship, alone, so I must be more prepared. Vex considered this and nodded slowly. Your logic is sound. Vex looked like he wanted to argue but continued processing items instead. The backpack finally emptied after another hour. 38 items total. Each logged and stored. Satisfied? Jiwoo asked. Vex checked his list, checked the backpack, checked Minho for any additional hidden compartments. Yes. Finally. You may proceed. Alarms blared throughout the station. Red lights flashed. An automated voice announced in multiple languages. Alert. Unidentified vessel approaching. All personnel to designated safe areas. This is not a drill. The crowd scattered. Security officers rushed to their posts. Vex looked torn between following protocol and keeping an eye on Minho's confiscated items. Jiwoo checked her communicator. Her face went pale. Pirates. Crimson Tail Raiders. They are heading straight for the station. 4 Downs sighed. 4 Downs. Minho looked at his boxes of confiscated items. Then, at Vex. Absolutely not, Vex said, but his voice lacked conviction now. The station's council chamber filled quickly. Representatives from 12 different species took their seats around a circular table. The emergency meeting had been called not about the approaching pirate ship, but about what to do with Lee Minho and his collection of not weapons. The council chamber had tall ceilings and walls that displayed the starfield outside. At the center of the room, Minho stood beside Jiwoo. Vex stood nearby, his antennae twitching nervously. The boxes of confiscated items sat on a display table where council members could see them. Council Speaker Dran, a crystalline being whose body refracted light into rainbow patterns, called the meeting to order. We are here to discuss the human merchant Lee Minho and whether his presence violates our security protocols. A Hyven representative, an insectoid with bright blue carapace, spoke first. This human carried enough weapons to arm a small military unit. The regulations are clear about weapons on this station. They are not weapons, Minho protested. Tools that you yourself described as capable of causing harm, another council member pointed out. This one was Velian, the same slug-like species as the creature who had fainted earlier. Jiwoo stepped forward. If I may speak on behalf of the human delegation, Lee Minho has broken no laws. Human vessels are permitted on this station. Our trade agreements do not specify restrictions on what items humans may carry, only that weapons must be surrendered upon entry. Minho complied fully with security requests. It took 6 hours. Thex burst out. 6 hours to process one human. And he explained how to weaponize a spoon. I was answering your questions, Minho said. You kept asking what each item could do. Dran raised one crystalline appendage for silence. The issue is not whether rules were broken. The issue is whether our rules are adequate for human visitors. This is the third incident this month involving humans and our weapons policy. Third? Minho asked. Jiwoo looked embarrassed. There were 2 other humans who had similar situations. One was carrying 17 different types of tape. Another had a chemistry set in her luggage for what she called hobby experiments. The council members murmured among themselves. Some looked concerned. Others looked frightened. A new human entered the chamber. He was older than Minho, with gray hair and glasses, wearing a scientist's coat. His badge identified him as Kim Hyun, stationed on the base as a xenobiology researcher. I was called as an expert witness, Kim Hyun said, bowing to the council. I understand you have questions about human behavior and our relationship with tools and weapons. Please explain why humans feel the need to carry so many dangerous items, Dran requested. Kim Hyun walked to the display table and picked up the spoon that had caused such trouble earlier. This is a spoon. To most species here, it is just an eating utensil. To humans, it is an eating utensil, and also 17 other things, as Minho demonstrated. This is because humans evolved very differently from most spacefaring species. He pulled up a holographic display showing Earth. Our homeworld is what galactic explorers classify as a Class 12 death world. The gravity is high. The weather is extreme. The native life forms are aggressive. Humans did not evolve with natural weapons like claws or venom or armor. We survived by being smart and adaptable. The display changed to show early humans. We learned to see every object as a potential tool. A rock becomes a hammer. A stick becomes a lever. Fire becomes both warmth and protection. This thinking is built into our psychology now. We cannot turn it off. But surely modern humans with advanced technology do not need such primitive thinking. The Hyven representative argued. Technology fails, Kim Hyun said simply. Ships break down. Equipment malfunctions. Humans prepare for worst-case scenarios because our history taught us that worst-case scenarios happen regularly. We call it being prepared. You might call it paranoia. Both are accurate. Commander Vex, who had been standing quietly at the back of the chamber, moved forward. I speak for the Korthu delegation. We understand the human position. Preparedness is not paranoia. It is wisdom. Warriors of all species know this truth. But humans are not warriors, the Velian representative said. Minho is a merchant. Kim Hyun is a scientist. Yet they think like soldiers. All humans think like soldiers, Vex replied. This is why they are formidable. This is why we respect them. Dran looked at Minho directly. Do you understand why your behavior concerns us? Many species here are peaceful. We have not fought wars in thousands of years. When you demonstrate 17 ways to harm someone with a spoon, it frightens us. Minho considered his words carefully. I understand. But please understand that I do not think about harming people. I think about survival. If my ship crashed on a hostile planet with only a spoon, I would need to know how to use it to survive. This is how humans think. We prepare for problems before they happen. What if we banned all humans from carrying such items? Another council member suggested. Jiwoo shook her head. That would violate our trade agreements and likely end human participation in this station's economy. Humans provide 15% of the station's trade revenue. One quote, 8 order, 15-6 mine, counted. The council members looked troubled. They spoke among themselves in various languages, debating options. Suddenly, the alarms that had been blaring in the background grew louder. An announcement cut through the discussion. Pirate vessel has breached outer perimeter. Station defense systems offline for maintenance. All security personnel to defensive positions. The chamber erupted in panic. Several council members stood and moved toward the exits. Others activated communication devices to check on their people. Commander Vex checked his weapon, a plasma rifle. He had 3 other Korthu warriors with him. We will defend the council chamber. 4 warriors against a pirate crew? The Velian representative said, voice shaking. We are doomed. Everyone turned to look at Minho and his boxes of confiscated items. Thex followed their gaze. His antennae straightened up slowly. No. Absolutely not. The station defense is offline, Dran said. We have minimal security. The pirates are heavily armed. These are just tools, Minho said, but he was smiling now. Remember? Jiwoo pulled out her communicator. There are 6 other humans currently on the station. I can have them here in 5 minutes. Thex looked at Minho. At the boxes. At the council members. At Commander Vex, who was also smiling now. Fine, Thex said, his voice defeated. Take your items, defend the station. But if we survive this, we are having a very long discussion about weapons policy. Minho started loading his pockets again. That seems fair. No. 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 The Crimson Tail pirates breached the station's outer ring with explosive charges. Alarms screamed throughout the facility. Station residents fled toward the central safe zones, leaving the commercial sectors nearly empty. Minho finished loading his 51 pockets and his backpack. 6 other humans had arrived at the security checkpoint as Jiwoo promised. They introduced themselves quickly. Choi Sora, said a woman in mechanic's coveralls, grease still on her hands. I maintain the station's cargo systems. Kang Do-hyun, a pilot announced, young and confident. I run cargo between here and the nearby colonies. Yang Eun-ji, a botanist, said calmly, though her hands shook slightly. I manage the hydroponics section. The other 3 were traders like Minho. They had brought their own supplies, though none quite as extensive as his collection. Commander Vex studied the group. 7 humans and 4 Korthu warriors, against approximately 30 pirates. The odds are not favorable. Odds change when you use the environment, Minho said. He spread a station map across the security desk. Thex pointed with one of his 4 hands. Section 7. The commercial ring. They are moving inward toward the central hub, where the valuable storage vaults are located. Do they know the station layout? Sora asked. Probably not in detail, Jiwoo answered. Crimson Tail typically raids smaller outposts. This is a large station with complex architecture. Minho smiled. He outlined a plan quickly. The humans would split into 3 teams. One would prepare the main corridor, leading to the central hub with traps and obstacles. Another would secure the engineering sections and use the station's systems against the pirates. The third would work with the Korthu warriors on direct confrontation when necessary. This is insane, Thex said. You are merchants and scientists, not soldiers. Human merchants and scientists, Do-hyun corrected. Different standards. They moved quickly. Minho led the trap team with 2 other traders. They started in Corridor Beta 7, the main passage the pirates would likely use. Minho emptied several pockets. He used his aerosol cans and the cigarette lighter to create basic flamethrower devices, positioning them at choke points with simple tripwires. The cleaning solvents mixed with adhesive made patches of floor dangerously slippery. Ball bearings scattered at strategic points would make running treacherous. Wire stretched across passages at ankle height, invisible in the dim emergency lighting. "This is brilliant and terrifying," Jiwoo said, watching him work. "It is just physics and chemistry," Minho replied. "Very basic." Sora took the engineering team to the maintenance tunnels. She accessed the station's environmental systems through a control panel. Yang Eunji joined her, bringing containers from her hydroponics lab. "Can you cycle air pressure in specific sections?" Eunji asked. "Yes. But why?" Sora's hands moved over the controls. "These compounds are mostly harmless in normal conditions," Eunji explained, showing her collection of bottles. "But if you lower the oxygen concentration and raise the humidity in a sealed section, they create a fog that irritates eyes and breathing. Very unpleasant, but not permanently harmful." Sora grinned. "I like how you think." They set up chemical fog traps in 3 different sections, ready to activate remotely. Sora also rerouted power conduits, preparing to shut down lighting in specific corridors on command. She found the cargo loader controls and moved 2 of the heavy machines to blocking positions. Do-hyun and the Korthu warriors set up the final defensive line near the central hub. Commander Vex was impressed with how the human pilot assessed the tactical situation. "You have military training," Vex observed. "Some," Do-hyun admitted. "Most humans do. It is part of our education." "All humans receive combat training?" Vex asked, surprised. "Basic training, yes. We call it physical education and emergency preparedness. But yes, it includes combat." They positioned themselves with clear sightlines and cover. The Korthu warriors had their plasma rifles. Do-hyun had improvised weapons that Minho had prepared, mostly projectile-based devices using compressed air and metal bearings. The pirates advanced through Section 7, looting as they went. Their leader was a Kranex, a species known for aggression and poor impulse control. He led a mixed crew of various species, all heavily armed with military-grade weapons. They reached Corridor Beta 7 confidently. The first pirate triggered a wire trap. The aerosol flamethrower activated, shooting fire across the passage. 2 pirates caught in the blast retreated, screaming. The others scattered. "What was that?" The Kranex leader shouted. "Trap," someone yelled back. "The corridor is trapped." They advanced more carefully now. One stepped on the slippery chemical patch and fell hard, his weapon clattering away. Another triggered ball bearings scattered across the floor. 3 pirates went down in a tangle of limbs. "Who traps a commercial station?" a pirate demanded. "Move to Corridor Beta 8, the leader ordered. In the engineering section, Sora watched their movement on security monitors. "They are redirecting to Beta 8. Activating fog trap," Eunji said, pressing a button. The pirates entered Corridor Beta 8 and found normal conditions for exactly 10 seconds. Then vents opened, chemical compounds released, and the oxygen levels dropped slightly. A thick, irritating fog filled the passage. Pirates coughed and choked, their eyes watering. "Fall back," the leader ordered. "Section 9, now. They are learning," Vex observed over the communication channel. "They will find a path, eventually." "That is fine," Minho replied. "We just need to slow them down and make them nervous. Nervous enemies make mistakes." The pirates tried Section 9. Here, they encountered Minho directly. He waited in a maintenance alcove, with equipment ready. As the first group passed, he activated a magnetic device he had constructed from batteries, wire, and the magnets from his pockets. The magnetic pulse disrupted their weapon systems temporarily. In the confusion, Minho threw containers of adhesive that burst on impact, gluing 2 pirates to the floor. He disappeared into the maintenance tunnels before they could react. "Was that the same human from security?" one pirate asked, recognizing Minho's face. "The one with 51 pockets?" another said. "Oh no." Word spread among the pirate crew. The human, who had an entire arsenal in his clothing, was defending the station. Their confidence wavered. The Kranex leader grew frustrated. He split his force, sending teams through multiple routes, simultaneously. This was a tactical mistake. Commander Vex and Do-hyun engaged one team in a firefight. The Korthu warriors were skilled fighters, and Do-hyun's improvised weapons proved surprisingly effective. Another pirate team encountered Sora, who used the cargo loader like a combat vehicle, its massive mechanical arms swinging to block passages and grab weapons. Yang Eunji supported her by triggering more chemical fog. The pirates regrouped near the outer ring, having failed to reach the central hub. Their leader counted his remaining crew. 5 were injured. 3 were trapped in the adhesive. 2 were blinded by chemical irritants. His initial force of 30 was now effectively 20. "We are being beaten by maintenance workers and merchants," one pirate said in disbelief. "They are humans." Another replied, as if that explained everything. The Kranix leader made a decision. They withdrew through the breach point they had created. Vex and the humans did not pursue. Let them leave. The station was secure. But Minho had one more surprise ready. During the initial breach, while everyone was focused on the pirates, he had sent a small magnetic device through the damaged hull section. It attached to the pirate ship's engine housing. As the pirate vessel prepared to leave, their engines failed. Minho contacted them on an open channel. "This is Lee Minho from the Celestial Convergence Station. Your engines are offline. Korthu patrol ships are arriving in approximately 12 minutes. You can surrender now, or wait and explain to the Korthu why you attacked one of their trade partners." The pirate leader looked at his crew. His crew looked back at him. They all knew the Korthu reputation. "We surrender," the Kranix said, defeated. Minho smiled. "Good choice." The Korthu patrol ships arrived exactly 12 minutes later, as Minho had calculated. They captured the pirates without resistance and secured them in their military vessels. Commander Vex personally thanked the patrol captain and explained how a small group of humans and Korthu warriors had defended the entire station. The patrol captain, a scarred veteran named Commander Thel, looked at the human group with new respect. "I have heard stories about human preparedness. Today, those stories proved true." In the days following the attack, the station returned to normal operations. Repair crews fixed the breach in the outer ring. Medical staff treated the few injuries among defenders and pirates. The council held another emergency session, but this time, the tone was very different. Council Speaker Dran addressed the chamber. Minho stood before them again. But now Sora, Do-hyun, Eunji, and the other human defenders stood with him. Ji-woo and Kim Hyun were present too. Commander Vex and his warriors stood at attention nearby. "This council owes the human residents and visitors a debt of gratitude," Dran began. "Your quick thinking and resourcefulness saved this station from significant damage and potential loss of life." The Hyven representative who had been so critical before spoke up. "I admit, I was wrong about humans. I saw weapons where I should have seen tools. I saw danger where I should have seen preparedness. On behalf of my delegation, I apologize." Minho bowed respectfully. "No apology is needed. Your concerns were valid. We do see the world differently than many species. That is precisely what we must address," Dran continued. "The current regulations are inadequate for human visitors. We need a new approach." 1. Vex stepped forward, his antennae no longer drooping. "I have prepared a proposal with Liaison Park Ji-woo. We suggest creating a special designation for human-carried items. Category 3 tools. Items with legitimate primary purposes that could theoretically be weaponized, but are generally safe in responsible hands. Humans could carry Category 3 items without surrendering them," Ji-woo added. "More dangerous items would still be confiscated, but everyday tools would be permitted." "Who decides what is Category 3? the Velian representative asked nervously. "A joint committee," Ji-woo answered. "Human and non-human representatives working together. We create a standard list that applies to all humans visiting the station." The council debated for an hour. Eventually they voted. The measure passed with only 2 opposing votes. There is one more matter, Dran said. She looked at Minho specifically. Lee, Minho. You are awarded the Station Defense Commendation for your actions during the pirate attack. This is our highest civilian honor. Minho bowed deeper. Thank you. I am honored. However, Dran continued, and her crystalline form shifted colors slightly, you are also fined 1,500 credits for carrying 72 unreported defensive items beyond the approved 51 pockets. The chamber went quiet. Then Minho laughed. That is fair. I accept both the award and the fine. 72? Thex asked. I counted everything. Where were the extra 21 items? Minho smiled but said nothing. This would remain his secret. Over the following weeks, changes took effect throughout the station. A new customs checkpoint opened, staffed by Jiwoo and a team of both human and alien officers. They processed human visitors much more efficiently now, using the approved Category 3 list. Kim Hyun published his guide, Understanding Human Preparedness Protocols, which became required reading for station security. It explained human psychology, history, and culture in ways that other species could understand. Several galactic universities requested copies for their xenopsychology programs. Sora started a consulting business. Other stations and facilities contacted her, wanting to improve their security systems. She hired 2 assistants and bought a larger ship to travel to different locations. Yang Unji's work became unexpectedly popular. Several species requested to study her defensive botanical techniques. She began teaching classes on chemical compounds and their applications, always carefully explaining both peaceful uses and safety protocols. Do-hyun received a job offer from the Korthu military as a tactical consultant. He declined, preferring his independent pilot life, but he maintained friendly contact with Commander Vex. Commander Vex himself honored Minho with a place in the Korthu Hall of Warriors, a rare recognition for a non-Korthu. You fight with your mind before your body, Vex said during the ceremony. This is true warrior spirit. The station became known throughout the sector as the safest trade hub available. Pirates avoided it entirely now. The story of how humans defended it with improvised tools spread across multiple systems. Other species began requesting human security consultants and engineers. 3 months after the incident, another human merchant arrived at the station. Her name was Han Soman, and she approached the customs checkpoint with a friendly smile. Thex was on duty. He recognized the signs immediately. Too many pockets on her jacket. Too cheerful. A large backpack. Welcome to Celestial Convergence Station, Thex said, his voice already tired. Please, declare any category. 3 items you are carrying. Soman pulled out a data pad with a prepared list. I have 40 pockets total. I learned from Lee Minho's experience and reduced my carrying capacity by 11 pockets. Thex looked at the list, then at her 40 pockets. Then at Jiwoo, who had just arrived for her shift. Jiwoo patted Thex's shoulder sympathetically. It gets easier. Eventually. Does it really? Thex asked. No, Jiwoo admitted. But you learn to accept it. Soman completed her check-in within 90 minutes, a new station record for human processing. She proceeded to the commercial district to set up her trading booth. Thex watched her go and made a note in his report. Human visitor processed successfully. No incidents. Only moderate stress. That evening, Minho met with the other human defenders at a station restaurant. They had formed a close friendship during the crisis and met regularly now. Sora was explaining her latest security contract. Do-hyun was sharing stories from his recent cargo runs. Yoonji was discussing a new hybrid plant she had developed. Did you hear? Jiwoo said, joining them. The Galactic Trade Commission is considering new guidelines for human visitors across all stations. Our model is being studied as a potential standard. Politics, Minho said, waving his hand. Not my concern. I just want to trade and travel. You started a diplomatic incident that changed intergalactic policy, Kim Hyun pointed out. That is significant. We We, 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 I just emptied my pockets when security asked, Minho replied innocently. They all laughed. Nearby tables of alien diners looked over at the sound. Some smiled. Some looked nervous. But none looked hostile. The humans had proven themselves as defenders, not threats. Later that night, Minho returned to his ship. He checked his supplies and began planning his next trading route. Several stations had sent him offers, all requesting human merchants specifically. Apparently defending a station from pirates was good for business. As he worked, his communicator beeped. A message from Thex appeared on screen. Reminder: Station Regulations 7.4 requires all visitors to report any new items acquired during their stay. Please declare anything purchased before departure. Minho smiled and sent a reply. The list would be thorough. The list would be detailed. The list would probably take Thex several hours to process. But Minho was nothing if not compliant with security regulations. Across the galaxy, a news broadcast played on screens in hundreds of languages. In related news, 17 additional species have petitioned the Galactic Council to classify humans as Category Apex, a designation requiring special handling protocols. When asked for comment, a human diplomatic representative stated, "We are not dangerous. We are just prepared." The distinction appears to concern many non-human species. The broadcast showed footage of Minho emptying his 51 pockets, hour after hour, item after item. It had become the most watched clip in galactic media history. In his ship, Minho watched the broadcast and shook his head. All this attention over some simple tools and basic preparedness. He turned off the screen and went back to packing. He had recently purchased several useful items from the station markets. A new soldering iron, slightly better than his old one. Some additional wire, in different gauges. A set of small containers that could hold liquids or powders. A length of chain that could be used for repairs or securing cargo. Some chemical compounds for cleaning. Perfectly normal purchases. Completely innocent tools. He packed them carefully into his 51 pockets, making sure each item was secure and accessible. One pocket, near his right shoulder, remained empty. This was pocket number 52, the one he had added after the council meeting. A special pocket, for special situations. Humans were adaptable, after all. They learned from experience. They improved their preparedness with every encounter. This is what made them human. This is what made them survivors. And this is why, across the galaxy, other species watched them with equal parts respect, admiration, and healthy fear.